Okay, so here we are today in ProPresenter. Just quickly in this tutorial, I just want to give you a quick rundown of how ProPresenter is configured, some common problems with the configuration, where we grab our files from, just the nuts and bolts of how to add some files to ProPresenter, how to make sure that we're out on all the right screens, and yeah, just some common problems. So let's quickly get started by looking at preferences. As you can see in ProPresenter 5, Preferences is just sitting up here in the ProPresenter menu as normal. Now there's a few tabs in here. The Display tab is quite important. This shows us our different outputs and what we're sending to them. So you can see over here, this is the main screen on the iMac, the one that we're looking at right now. This output here is two 1280 by 720 outputs put together. We have a box called a triple head to go that splits that out to multiple screens. So that output has the content for the outer screens on the left and the right, and the center screen, which has a different send. And then finally on the right here, we have a stage display output. So the first problem we can run into here is that these aren't set correctly, or maybe that we're not discovering all the right screens. The triple head and the other output for the stage display are both connected via USB on the back of the iMac. So your first port of call, if we don't see one of those screens, is just to quickly unseat and reseat those USBs and let the computer rediscover the outputs. So we'll have a look at that now. Okay, so what I've done now is I've disconnected the USB for the stage display. You can see here that we're only seeing two screens in this display options panel now. Our normal double output for our main screens and our single iMac screen. Now the problem here of course is that the stage display has been set to go onto the iMac screen. So if we click enable stage display, you can see that that's covered up our ProPresenter interface. So what we want to do is we want to reconnect that USB now. So I'm just going to plug that back in. So you can see now that the last output has become available. So we're just going to grab the stage display output and we're going to say we want it on that screen. This menu bar here shows which screen is the iMac. Now if we enable the stage display, it's displaying back down on the stage as it should be. Apart from that, there shouldn't be too much you should need to adjust here. It does remember the resolutions and stuff down here, so hopefully that shouldn't be a problem for you. The other thing with the stage display is there's a couple of different configurations. We've set up two different ones. Basically this is just set for whether the person who is speaking from the stage would like a countdown or a count up for their talk. It's just two different clocks, two different settings inside this panel. So you can see over here we have the presets. One is for a countdown, one is for a count up. So before the service you would talk to whoever is speaking, or before the event, you'd find out whether they want a countdown or a count up, and just make sure you select the right stage display preset right there. We'd close that just to close out of that. Our last thing that I really need to show you in here that is important is this multi-screen module. Now this multi-screen module is what allows us to, or is what sends things to the two different outputs. So we have one output that goes to the center screen and an output that goes to the left and right screens. Obviously, for instance, we want song backgrounds on the left and right screens, but we don't want that in the center because that would be on the back of the stage. So this is quite a simple interface here. We have the left and the right screens. The left screen is what goes to the outsides. Right is what goes to the center screen. So we just choose what we want enabled on each of those screens. For instance, we have props enabled only on the right screen, which in our case is the center. So that means things like logos, messages about God's own kids, or cars with lights left on, they'll go to the center screen, but not the left and right screens. Our slide content, or slide foregrounds, go to both screens. We have an alternate template set for the center screen. That basically just means that when we're running up song words, or message notes, or anything created in ProPresenter, it'll just reconfigure slightly how those words are displayed on the center screen, just so that it fitted on our cycle a little bit better. Last but not least, our video/image layer is set to only left, which is the left and right screens. So if we put an image on the background of a slide, it doesn't come up on the center screen, only on the left and right. Most of the time we shouldn't have to change any of these. Okay, so the next thing I want to show you, we were talking about the stage display just before. Now, some information comes up on the stage display automatically, such as the video countdown timer, automatic, the clock, obviously we don't need to alter that, and the song word next and current slides are also automatic based on what you're sending to screen. A couple of things that we might need to change on a Sunday happen over here. This is the stage display section of the toolbar. One thing we can do is send a message down there. So if we wanted the MC to say something, or if we need to give someone a bit of a hurry up, we can just type a message in here, and it'll be sent down to the stage. Once we think that's done, we can just hide that again. That displays on the stage display with a flashing red box to try and get someone's attention. So that's a pretty handy little feature. The other thing we have here is the clocks section. And so these are what gets sent down to the clock, whether we sent count down or count up. Now, if we have the stage display set to count up, we use this time elapsed clock. Very simple. You click start, it starts counting up, stop, reset. Quite straightforward. Countdown timers. Countdown number 1 is the one that is in the preset for a countdown timer on the stage display. There's two types of countdowns we can use. We can use a countdown timer. We would type in our time here. So let's make it 1 minute 30 for instance. And then we would click start, and it would start counting down the minute 30 on here and on the screen on the stage. When we're done, we can stop and reset. Overrun is simply when it reaches the end of the time, it'll actually start counting down into the negative to show the person who's speaking how much they've gone over by. The other type of countdown timer we can have is a countdown to time. So basically what we would do is we would say, I want you to count down till 2 o'clock PM, and you start it, and it counts down to the time that you've set there. Similarly, stop, reset, overrun, all the same things as they are normally. Okay, so here we are back in the main interface for ProPresenter, and I'm just going to run you through a few things about how to import files and how to create new presentations. So, first of all, how we import files, or how files end up in our video and image bin down here. These orange icons basically indicate hot folders. Now what a hot folder does is we have a folder set in documents, and it just keeps track of exactly what media is in that folder. So if we add media to that folder, it becomes available here. If we take media out of that folder, it is no longer available. Now you can see here we have some files left over from the previous Sunday, and we want to get rid of those because they're not for the Sunday. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go to Documents, and you'll see that these folders match the name of the folders over here. So, for instance, we want to go into this Sunday, which is the folder we use for content that is purely for the Sunday that is coming up. So we'll open up that folder, open it in Finder, and what we can do is we can run through and get rid of a bunch of these files. So all of these images, for instance, they are no longer necessary. Apple Delete is the shortcut to delete those on a Mac. We'll keep the white gateway logo. The before movie, that's old, so we'll get rid of that as well. These images and this week's news, not necessary. So we can get rid of all of those. And when we jump back into the ProPresenter interface, you'll see that it's deleted all of those files. So similarly, when we want to add files, all we do is open up the relevant folder. Say it's for a Friday Night Live. We open up this Friday and we drag in our Cats video, obviously. So that gives us all of our content in here. So this Sunday, this Friday, that's for things coming up on the weekend that is to come. We have just our current holding slides. So those are ones that are set specifically for a particular series that might be going on for a period of time. The youth holding slides, our generic set of holding slides, and our general set of service opener files as well. Okay, so that's the video and image bin and how we get files in and out of ProPresenter via that.